Hi all, welcome back to more The Other Side of the Hill, playing this solo. This is my part 2. Part 1 ended up being a big, long episode. I didn't break it up. I left a comment to say that the first 40 odd minutes were just an introduction, and then, must have been the hour. I didn't even get the complete turn of the fall done, did it? The end of the year done, but anyway, that was just yesterday, so I'm hoping to just squeeze in another part just now. And obviously I'm quite keen because this is a new game, and managed to get myself a wee bit more time today. So hopefully I can get a part in. Couple of things I wanted to mention. What did I leave some comments? No, I don't think so. I just commented about the fact that so introduction and setup, and then actual gameplay starts at the 42-minute mark. That was it. I did speak wrongly about that playbook. I think I mentioned extended sequence of play. It's just an example of play. It's a sort of comprehensive example of play. So I left that in the comment anyway. Couple of other things though that I came across or forgot to mention. These are the scenarios you can play as solo. Now, I suppose I should be having a glance at this. So, this is how the fanaticism value can go down. The collapse of Germany can end the game. But there's a coup that can happen, and that's when the Black Orchestra cards come in, isn't it? They're maybe not in this section here. Quick look at how their victory is for the. This would be for. Is this just for the solo game then, or is this for the? I mean, it's in the pinky colour. No, it's co-op and solo, isn't it? Because the scenarios are showing co-op and solo there. So you would get 1 victory point for every Festung sector controlled by the Axis. So we start with 8 of them controlled. Is that right? When it says controlled, that would just be the little black control marker, wouldn't it? Like there's one there in Munich, for instance. So obviously you can hold on to all 8 of them. That would be 8 points. And then a number of victory points equal to the fanaticism value. So obviously we want to get that up. That can go right up to 9. So I suppose potential there for up to 17 points now. 1 victory point for every French or USR home area controlled by the Axis, not disputed. And then 1 victory point for every concluded project marker in the year track. And then we add them all up, and to get a grand victory, we want 21 victory points or more. Marginal victory between 16 and 20, so that's probably our target, and then 15 or less is defeat. They're the 4 scenarios that you can play. Yeah, this was a bit that I missed out talking about yesterday. I'd done all this, but I hadn't mentioned it. So when you're setting up the scenario, you remove the agenda cards. They're not used in the co-op solo game. You remove the strategic event card reorganisation of the High Command from play. Remove the political event cards reorganisation of the High Command and plot exposed. Remove from play all prestige and influence markers, and victory conditions apply. Well, that was them, just they are. I think there's something over the page regarding the solo side of things as well. Yeah. So solitaire play, the player controls all the generals in the scenario setup. If there are more than 30 generals, the player adds the excess generals to those enter and play the following year. Choose generals with the lowest seniority first. I'm going to have a little look into that. So you're allowed 30 generals, but let's just say you had 35. You're going to have to leave 5 of them out to look at for the following year. So is the ones that you leave out got to be a lower seniority? I think that's maybe what that's saying, isn't it? I'm going to look a little more into it. It will not affect us this year or 1940. There's not as many as 30 when 1940 kicks in. I'm pretty sure there's not. And then the section cards, when solitaire play, you remove all section of the high command cards from play. The player takes all the decisions. Yeah, we don't do any of that. That's what the co-op brings in. You've got all the different roles to play. The OKW, the head of personnel, head of operations, head of production. That's the 4 roles I think you can take. But when you're playing solo, you just take control of all their roles. Right, and the one other thing I wanted to mention, when I was going through the sequence of play cards, I sort of stopped. Is it not the one? Yeah, it was a step here. So it's just back a couple of steps. And it was down the bottom. It says, if no available combat pawns are placed, reduce the fanaticism value by 1 and discard active military directive. So I wondered about that, because I know that if you don't play military directive in the summer, the fanaticism goes down by 1, doesn't it? But this is an addition as well, and it does show you that in the Axis offensive segment. So I did find it. It's highlighted down the bottom here. It says it is not obligatory to place all Axis combat pawns on the map, but if the head of OKW does not place at least 1 combat pawn, he must subtract 1 from fanaticism value and discard the active military directive card. I can't sort of work out how you could be in a place where you want to or not be able to place a pawn anyway, but we might find that that can be something that can happen. Right, that's all I was wanting to say, so I want to just push on and try and get another little, well, at least finish this year off anyway, which I think we're pretty close to doing. Don't think there was anything else on my mind. I think everything seemed to be okay. Right, so I'm going to go back down and we'll just look at, again, I'll go through these cards this first time, and then I'll just do them off camera, but I think these are good to use. Right, so we'd done that, we were on this, we'd done the Axis offensive segment, we had invaded Poland, we'd successfully conquered Poland, took Warsaw, and got our rewards for that, and whatever. So this was the next step. Although we did check landings, there's no landings markers in the landings markers box, which is away up the top in here. They don't come in. One comes in at 42, one comes in at 44, and then it needs to be, there's some other conditions for it as well. Not to be winter, no winter. And then you draw a card and check, but we're not checking because there's no landing marker. So this is where we're at, the Western Offensive segment. Oh no, that's landing, so we're not doing landing. Move on, Grant. Western Offensive segment, combat pawn. So you skip the segment if it's got a no offensive marker in the operations box. And what we do is we put a blue allied combat pawn. Well, they're saying they're blue. I'm assuming this maybe changed. Well, this is on these cards, right enough. These were the combat pawns for the Germans. The black with the cross on either side. There's also this one. This one's blue. This is for doing amphibious landings, which is only what the Germans would use. Even though the Allies can land, they don't need any of that. They just come and do it. And then you've got these pawns. Well, that's for the Soviets. So that would be a Soviet pawn. But whether there was blue ones originally or not, that's a Western Allies pawn. So you just use that. So it says a blue allied combat pawn is placed in any area, and then it tells you what that contains a disputed marker and a Western control disk, or that is Axis controlled and adjacent to a Western controlled area. And then the exception is do not place an allied combat pawn in an area containing a no Western offensive marker. Right, so we're going to place one of these pawns. I think it's just in southern France, because like I say, it's either an area that contains a disputed marker and a Western control disk. Well, this is disputed. They've got a Western control disk, so there is going to be a combat in there. That's the only disputed area. But the other one was an Axis controlled area that is adjacent to a Western controlled area. Well, actually, the Germans have two controlled areas now, Poland, and Romania, Bulgaria, because that's a satellite. If it's got a satellite marker, I was reading a bit more in the rules today. It's let me just find that bit actually. Yeah, so area control there, rule 2.4, it's on page 8. The faction controlling an area is indicated by the alignment marker. So an area is controlled by the Axis if it contains an occupied or a satellite marker. An area is controlled by the Western faction if it controls a Western marker. An area is controlled by the Soviet faction if it contains a Soviet marker. An area is not controlled by any faction if there is a disputed marker in the alignment box, or it does not contain an alignment marker as a neutral area. So yeah, I mean, these are neutral areas here. Even though there's a German control disk there. That's the right term, isn't it? I think I looked that up yesterday. Control disk, yeah. The area is not controlled. This would need to be in the highest numbered one, and then it would be in control. Yeah, so, and these are all Western controlled, and so this is German controlled because it's satellite marker, that's German controlled. And obviously this one is disputed, so not controlled by anybody, and same with the neutral ones, they're not controlled by anybody. Right, so like I said, the other option was an Axis controlled area adjacent to a Western controlled area. So if there was a Western controlled area adjacent to Poland here, now adjacency is the black land, their land connections, not to be confused or mistaken with these are amphibious connections, so these are not adjacent, the areas, it's just the ones that are connected by the solid black lines. So you can see there's no Western area adjacent to Poland, and there's no Western area adjacent to Romania, Bulgaria. So the only one is this one, and this is the one that's disputed with, what was that again? Contains a disputed marker and a Western controlled disk. So that's where we're going to have a combat. Right. Okay, so next card is the combat resolution. Again, you skip this if there's a no offensive in the operations box. So you determine the order of combats. Well, there's only the one to resolve here, but sometimes that can matter, so you've got to think about it. So first of all, we're going to draw and reveal one combat card. So let us do that. So I'm going to draw and reveal this. I'll just put it down the side here. Right, there we go. So it's, well, let's swing up to actual where the combat is. So it's the Western attacking the Germans. So they're attacking into the river. And so you don't need to move them. You can see there's a little circle that tells you the terrain just outside. So they're attacking. They're going to be the attackers, the Western faction, and they're attacking into a river. And we've got two armies there. That wasn't very clever, Grant, was it? No, it wasn't. I think because I remember getting away with this, because we're getting away with this, aren't we? Because they're the attackers. So all we've got is that little symbol there. We've not got a number, which tells us there's not going to be a combat at all. All that's going to be is that means we draw a strategic event. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I have to say I was a little confused by this. I don't think this is, unless this is just me. So you've got a wee symbol there with the wee yellow background of the card. Yeah, event resolution, implement combat results. So if you look on this though, this is combat resolution. So I mean, maybe I'm looking at the wrong bit right now. Because there's the wee symbol there with the black cards and the yellow, and it says draw and resolve one combat event card. Well, that's not right. This is not a draw a combat card. So what I really think I need here, I think I need the rule book to sort of resolve this, but I think that's what I had to look at. So let's look at the rule book 6.1. This is the rule. Wait till I get the page. Right, and the way I found this, I think, was just looking at this example. I mean, this is the combat card. Now, hang on, is this just for the Axis attack? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a little. I find this a little bit confusing. Well, let's just look at this example. So it says, following on the previous example, player, right, doesn't matter what happened before, right? Players draw a combat card for the battle in Ukraine. Okay. So the card determines that the Soviet faction will roll 3 dice, because it's looking in that, but it's highlighted that bit there. So it must be the Soviets are defending. That's what it is. So they roll 3 dice and defending. There are no special effects. But just this bit down the bottom sort of explains the result we've got here. If players had revealed this card for an area in 1941, when the Soviet faction is the attacker, so same row, just this column on here, and it's got the wee yellow card symbol. There would have been no combat, so that's what we are sort of looking at. But the special effect, that indicates that a strategic event card must be revealed and resolved. So that's what that is. So looking at that combat resolution chart is the wrong place to be looking for that. And if we turn the page to here, this is on page 27. So this explains an allied combat roll. So it's kind of what we're doing. And it says the result in the combat card may include a special effect, which must be resolved before the allied combat roll. So, okay. So if this one just has, it doesn't have the numbers, but you can see the ones with the aircrafts and they've got the number after. You resolve the 2 aircraft, the aircraft special effects first before you do the combat. And their combat would be two rolls. But the card we've got has just got the little card. So we resolve that first, and there's the special effects. And the one that we're resolving is resolve a strategic event card. So that's all we're doing here. Let's see section 7. Which I might turn to. Let's go to events. Right, well, I'll keep open at that page. So that's what we're going to do. The 1939-40, that's the card they drew. They're on the attack. There's no number there, so there's not going to be a combat roll. We resolve that special effect and then discard that card. So the special effect is to draw a strategic event card. There is only one, so we're going to draw this. And this is going to do something maybe. So it says, if Denmark/Norway is not neutral, and then it's got that symbol. And that symbol is, if the condition is met, resolve any recurring events on the card. I think they're up the top here or something, so there's none of them. And then discard the card. Do not resolve the unique event on the card, and do not draw another event card to replace it. So if Denmark/Norway, which is area 17, is not neutral, that's the one right at the top. They are neutral. So if it's not neutral, we put the card away. So it is neutral. So we're going to carry out the event. Right. And the event says roll 1 Western die. If the result is a blue dice. If the result is the star, move 1 replacement marker 1 box to the left in the production table. Ouch. We don't want that then. Britain mines Norwegian waters. Roll 1 Western die. If the result is a blue star, move 1 replacement marker 1 box to the left in the production table. Okay, that's kind of nasty then. Right, so let's hope we don't get that then. So 1 blue dice. We don't want to see the star. There we go. Oh, we got a tank. Good, excellent. Right, just was a star, wasn't it? If the result is star, move one replacement marker 1 box to the left in the production table. Right, and then there's nothing to say that anything else happens to that card, so my take on that is that just gets discarded, and that's it done. Okay, right, and I think that's why I wasn't so concerned about having more armies in here, because I didn't think there was actually going to be a combat, but I don't know, this is maybe looking at the 3 cards in the discard pile. Nah, to be honest, none of them have got any attacks in 1939, because, yeah, the Western faction wasn't really quite involved. Just, it was just starting off, wasn't it? Anyway, so that comes away, that's that done. There's no combat, so we go back to find the next card, which is the Soviet. Well, it's on to the next step, so stretching up there, that was a Western offensive. So now we move on to the Soviet offensive. However, you can see that the top bit there says, skip segment if USSR commitment is not at war. And USSR commitment's not at war, they're still Nazi-Soviet pact, so that would need to be at war before we look at that segment. So we move on, and this is a military directive objective check. So that'll be the next card. That's combat resolution for the Soviet offensive. We're not doing that. So now we're moved into the end segment, and this is a military directives check. So if there is an active military directive objective card, check if its objectives have been achieved. Right, and it has, and I noticed there's a box here for directives, so I'd put the card over there just to keep it straight. So the objective was to take Warsaw, which we did. Right, so we did complete that. So if all objectives were achieved, apply effects and discard the card. Right, so the success down the bottom there. So what we do is we gain 1 replacement. We didn't get this already, did we? No, we didn't. We didn't, Grant. No, because our replacements are at 1. So it's Wehrmacht or Wehrmacht replacements, however it's pronounced. There's a +1 to Wehrmacht replacements, and there's a +1 to the fanaticism track. So that's the 2 rewards that we're getting, and then we discard this card. So the Wehrmacht replacements goes up to 1. Remember, they've got a maximum of 2 at the moment, so that goes up to 2, and this goes up by another 1 back up to 2. So that was the rewards for the military directive, the invasion of Poland. Well, just checking there what would have happened if we hadn't. If all objectives were not achieved, and this is not the last operation phase in the turn, no effect. And that's if in the summer you've got 2 operations phases, I'm assuming. Well, this would be the last one in the turn, so if it would be this bottom bit if we had failed. So what does that say? If all objectives were not achieved and this is the last operations phase in the turn, all AG heads in areas listed in the current military directive card are flipped to their question side. Discard the current military directive card unless it is recyclable. So don't think that. Oh, it was recyclable. Sorry. So it's got to be recycled bit there. So what would have happened was, if we had failed, which you can see it was a simple sort of process really, all AG heads in the current military directive card are flipped to their question side, discard the current, so this would recycle and we'd be able to bring that back in, try it again next year, I think. And our heads of the AG, our army group heads, both the generals would be flipped over to their question side. So you would flip them over to that, and then come the command phase, we would be rolling the dice to try and get under a 2 to stop him from being dismissed. I think he's the one that doesn't, or he gets dismissed but he comes back, isn't he? Maybe. Okay, so that was a military directives check. I think that's that done. So now we're going to supply check. So supply check, let's just see. I've not studied fully how the whole ports and things work with supply. All the land areas, it's pretty straightforward, I think. So you can see there, we roll 1d6 for each access controlled area with a port box and apply all applicable modifiers. And then if the modified result is 7 plus, the port is open, otherwise the port is closed, and then I think if it's closed we can't trace supply. That's that, really, isn't it? What about, it must tell you a bit more about supply in the land though. I mean, you do need to look at that, I think. Actually, no, it is as straightforward as, it's just, you only check supply in the areas that have got ports, I think. Oh, no, it does say an area has land supply if a continuous string of adjacent areas with an access control disk can be established connecting it to an area with a Festung sector. Areas with a Festung sector always have land supply. So I suppose you still need to keep an eye on it. I mean, could it be that we could lose, if the Soviets came in and started taking some of these areas? And I don't know, I mean, because this isn't a Festung sector, but I can trace it into this one, which is. So I don't know how you'd ever have issues with that. There's maybe times we'll maybe need to look as things close in on the Germans as the years go on. It might be something that he needs to look at more. But I think it's more about the ports. But we've not been down there. We've not tried to take any of these yet, so nothing doing there. Right, and then I'm going to move the little marker in the last segment phase, which is the victory check. Check for automatic victory and the collapse of Germany. 4.73. That's a step afterwards. Yeah, so yeah, this is how it can collapse. So we check for the collapse. If there are 2 control disks or fewer in the collapse of Germany box, there's no effect. But I think once we lose a control disk, it goes into that box. And then if there are 3 or more, then we roll 1d6. If it's higher than the number of control disks, there is no effect. If the result is equal to or lower than the number of control disks, collapse of Germany, the game ends and all players lose, also in solitaire. If it's not collapsed, the game ends if the scenario instructs, so see section 10 to determine victory, otherwise advance the turn marker. Well, that's what we're doing. Yeah, I'm still not came across the Q or the Black Orchestra cards thing. Using Black Orchestra cards, 7.4. It's maybe further on. I think it's when you draw a strategic event, probably deeper into the game, that you then get a coup and you've got to check to see if Hitler gets assassinated. Yeah, there's a section on it here, coup attempt. So I'm not going to look into that just yet. We'll come to that when it gets a bit closer. So yeah, we've checked for victory. And so if current turn is full, which it is, then we're going to go to the New Year phase. So that's what we're going to do. I could probably do that. So the current turn is full. So we're going to go in the New Year phase. Well, don't touch anything just now, Grant. Just can we flick that card on? Right, it's the next card actually. So no, that must go along there. Aye. So that goes along to the New Year phase, and that now goes into 1940. So they two move, and basically that's going to move back up to the bombing in Germany. But we've got this New Year phase to do first, which is, this is a once a year phase, and then you go winter, spring, summer, fall, and do all that. Right. Okay. Let's, because it's in here as well, so we should be able to use these cards. So here we go, sequence of play, New Year phase. Right, advance the year marker. Right, I've just done that. And then move the turn marker to the New Year box. Right, I've just done the two things. Oops, There. Right, that was that one. Right, move all general cards from the activated space to the available space in each player's board. So activated to available. So we only activated this one general, we only had one combat. So it goes into the available. These are the 3 generals that are in command still. They're in the in command box. So they, I think, stay there. So we got one back, right, that had been used. Let's say you can use them once a year. There is a way you can use activated generals to fill slots, to put them in command as well, but maybe I never spoke about that, but we'll see if that might, I can talk about it at the time when it comes on. Right, adjustment, return directive cards. So return unplayed directive cards that were selected for the current year to their respective decks. Okay, so we did have 2 political directives that we didn't play and 1 production directive. So I'll put them back in the decks. Basically, I've got the decks there, so I need to take this deck and I've got them that way round. So that's they're in year order, so I'm maybe not showing you that. So this one basically just goes back into here, and we'll be able to, I think they should be set out in years actually, so that you know, rather than, I probably could separate them, couldn't I? Oh, it doesn't matter. As long as I know what I'm doing with them. Right, so they get put back into their decks, but we can see them again. And there was no political one, military one, because we played that. So that's that done. Review all cards remaining in the event decks from the previous year. And this is because you might see some recurring events, and if they've got a blue background on the event, it's a mandatory event that you've got to carry out. Well, there was no events left from 1939, so we don't need to look at that. However, we do need to now create a new event deck with event cards for the current year. Cards from remaining in the event cards previous year. Resolve, and yeah, I'm just going to open the rule book at this bit. It's just something that I didn't really do that much. Well, I did do it before. So I really need the New Year phase, don't I? Hang on. Yeah, I'm just looking at the rules, and this is telling you exactly what to do, so this is good. So, so we've got 2 event decks. We've got the combat events and the strategic events. Yeah, so basically I've just brought out, these are quick ones. These are all for 1940. That's combat events, and then the strategic events. So basically we shuffle the 2 decks up. So let me do that off camera. Okay, so I shuffled them both up so that you can see that when we started in 1939 there was only 1 of each of these cards, and now there's a few. And like I say, the ones that are blue as well, they're always going to actually happen, even if they don't happen throughout the year. At the end of the year, you go through them and you actually carry them out, so you don't get away from all these maybe nasty things that are going to happen. Yeah, so we've done that. Okay, so now we're going to adjustment segment. Right, if there is a landing marker in the current year's box, move it to the landing markers box on the board. Move any landing markers in areas on the map to the landing markers box. Well, there's none of that. Let's say it's not coming until 42. The first one, we're just starting in 1940. So, not happening. And so at general cards, right. So we place all the general cards for the current year in the available generals pile. And then if you have more than 30 generals, choose which generals to place. And, this is specifically for solo, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So it's actually telling you they're the solo way of doing it. Oh, that's good. Okay. So if you have more than 30 generals, choose which generals to place. Add unselected generals to the pile of generals entering play next year's. So that there is not telling me that I need to specifically pick. Let's say I've got 35 generals. It's not telling me that the 5 that I leave out have to be the lowest. What's the name? The lowest seniority factor. What does it say in the rulebook about that? Event cards, landing markers. Place all general cards for the current year on the available general space of your board. If you have more than 30, choose which general cards to place. Any remaining generals will be added to those entering play next year. No, it doesn't say anything about that bit there. Maybe I'm getting that from a different bit. Okay, so where's our generals? Where did I put them? They're over the other side. I put them over the other side. Right. So we've got... Obviously, these are still the available ones from 1939. We can still use them. And then we're going to get all the ones from 1940. You see there's a bunch of them up to there. I'll put the other ones away. So there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on top of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then there's 3 there, 12. So we've got 24 in total. So basically we're allowed up to 30. So these ones that have just been added all go in the availables. And that's that bit ready to go. I'm coming to pick between all these. It's going to be tricky looking through them all, right? But anyway. So now we select up to 5 military directive cards, 4 political directive cards, and 4 production directive cards. So that is from the previous year and this year, isn't it? This is the planning segment. You select directive cards from the decks. All undiscarded directive cards belonging to the current and previous years are eligible. Okay, good. Right, so let's have a look at... let's get the military ones first then. So I'm allowed to pick 5 of these, and there's 9 possible. So, yeah. Okay, I don't know if I can weigh all these out and have a look at them or not. Give me a second. Right, okay, so I've weighed them all out along here, all 9 of them. And remember, I can only select 5 of these. Now the ones here, I've started with the ones that cost 1. And then there's 3 that cost 2, and there's 2 that actually cost 3. I mean, some of these are going to be pretty unlikely to be able to do just now. Well, what have we got quickly? Invasion of Denmark and Norway, invasion of Greece, invasion of Yugoslavia. Now remember, we can diplomatically be involved in the countries. You got offensive in Libya, Egypt, invasion of Spain, invasion of France, Belgium, and Holland, invasion of Turkey, which I think can also be a satellite, invasion of Great Britain, and then conquest of Great Britain's the last one. So, well, I mean, I suppose this is one that we should be able to sort of do. There's invasion of France, Belgium, and Holland, so it's probably sort of one that we should be considering. The objective is to take Paris. This needs to be in the summer, and we get 2 combat points, so we can attack 2 different areas. Also, the ones that jump to mind, I suppose, are Denmark and Norway. I think these historically happened in these years. I don't know about the rest of them, to be honest. If these all happened in 1940. Well, I mean, Great Britain didn't get invaded. They didn't land. They didn't get there. So that could be something that didn't happen historically. But so you can see, you can give that a go, I suppose. It's probably going to be hard to do, but status of France needs to be Vichy. And I think the second one can't be done without the first one happening first. and it's a amphibious attack and whatever. I don't think we should look at that. Not from our first attempt at the game, I think. So, I mean, without thinking too much on it, I think I'll take this. What about Invasion of Spain? But that would be sort of not historical, wouldn't it? The Axis controls southern France. Oh, okay. So we need to take that first. Well, I'm going to take that card as well. Hang on, that one is the Axis controls Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece. And I think we've got one that we can get for. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to overthink this. Let me pick 5 of these. Yeah, you've seen them all. You can maybe decide what you would think yourself. But let me just pick 5. Right. So I went with Invasion of Greece, Invasion of Spain. Sorry, I know it's cleary, isn't it? Well, can I not lay these out at least? Right, there we go. Yeah, you can see all them, I think. So, Invasion of Greece, Invasion of Spain, Invasion of Turkey, Invasion of France, Belgium, Holland, and Invasion of Denmark and Norway. So that's going to be our military directives for this year. And then we've got to pick 4 political ones. So let me get hold of them first. Right, so there's 8 of these, so I'll just hover over them. These 2 were from the previous year, obviously, but we can still use these. So diplomacy Hungary, diplomacy Italy, diplomacy Greece, diplomacy Yugoslavia, diplomacy Vichy, Africa Core, diplomacy Spain, and diplomacy Turkey. Well, I think I took cards to maybe invade Spain. Did I take Turkey? No, I don't think I did I? It was Greece. Oh, it was Turkey. Greece, Turkey, and Spain. So am I not right in thinking that I shouldn't take that, or that if I'm going to do, if I'm going to take these the other way? So that leaves me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's that Africa Core one? That. Thought the status of Italy marker to its intervention side. Libya is disputed as a prerequisite for it. Yeah, okay. Right, I think I'm going to just pick. Well, hang on. Let me think about it. Right, they're the 4 political ones I went for. All diplomacy cards. Yeah, because I was trying to work out how we actually get Vichy, because the status of France has to be Vichy for me to be able to do this. But it says that if France collapses as a result of the full Guild military directive, which is this one, which we've taken, then that's what France surrenders, and then that's when we get Vichy, and then that's when we can do this, I think. So I'll take the 4, Hungary, Italy, Yugoslavia, and Vichy, right. Right, and then our production directive cards, there's only 5 of them available. Mind you, we did play 2 of them. That was we played 2 of them the last time, so there's only 1 left from 39. This one, yeah. When I was playing previously, I used that was a good one. So that flips the Wehrmacht reinforcement to its expansion side, which then means you can increase it to 3, and also puts 2 panzer armies, 2 regular armies, and 3 reduced armies into the force pool. So I think I'm picking how many of these? I want 4 out of the 5 really, so I'm definitely going to have that. That needs Vichy. Remove the 3 lock marker from the box and strategic warfare track. Not quite sure if that's doable. Right, and these 2 are development cards, so we've not seen them yet. So this is where you start a project, you get a wee marker, and you put it, well, for instance, this one here. So we put the marker on the 3 box of the development track. That's there. So you need to, I don't know where the markers are. I've got them up here. So what is that? Strategic bombers. There, it's there. So I would put this marker up there on the 3 box, right? And then what we do, if we played the card, remember it's our production costs would need to be 2. We play the card, we put the marker up there. We immediately, when we play the card, we roll and we need a 4 plus on the dice. If we don't get a 4, then this marker goes on there and it stays where it is, and we get a -1 to that 4, so then we need a 3 plus next try, and then we've got to play the card again. If we did get a 4, it then moves down to the 2 box, and we've got to get right down to 0 to complete it. I just noticed there though that we need the card submarine bases to be played, and that is actually that one there. So the prerequisite for that is to have played that, and the prerequisite for that is France to be Vichy. So they two kind of go head to head. I mean, that one goes on the 5. This is nuclear power. What is the effect? Head of OKW and head of production get 5 points. That's not any good to me. I think the fact that we played this card, there's some events will come along and they'll say that if you've got that, nothing happens or better things happens for you. Whereas if you've not played that, I think obviously bad things are going to happen. I think that's how it works. Okay, so well, I think I'm going to take, I think I'll take that, and this seems pretty hard to, I mean, it goes in the 5 box and you need to roll a 5 for it to succeed. I mean, it's going to be sitting there for a while probably. Oh, let's just stick with these two, and we'll not take the nuclear power one then. I don't know if that's good or not. Let's see. We'll learn again. Right, so the 4 we're going to keep. So that's our directives all taken for the year. And then let's just get this wrapped up now. Grant, I think. I don't think we're too far away. Actually, that's it. Combat. Oh, I didn't know there was combat. See, that's if you had the cards printed out, Grant. So we could come here and we're in combat. That's obviously the last step in the New Year phase then, wasn't it? Yeah. Where was I? New Year phase. One of the markers. Yeah, planning segment. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's me into the game. Well, into the sequence of play now, back to the start. So basically, we can now move this into the winter phase, administrative of winter. We've got to remember it's winter as well, so there's lots of things that are restricted you can't do. Yeah, I didn't realise there was combat cards to go through. So, it tells you what to do. Draw 1 combat card. If no Axis defenders in the combat area, apply 3 Alex retreats. Is this if they're attacking? Just says combat, doesn't it? Then activate generals. Ally combat roll. Axis combat roll. Right, it's got all the symbols and everything there as well. Event resolution. Land combat result. Axis attacker. Right. Land combat result, Axis defender. Right, okay. Oops. And amphibious attack, amphibious combat. There's a Q attempt as well, which we'll get to. Alright, that's cool. So, okay. So I'm going to go way back to the beginning. The administrative phase is winter, and that's going to be our first step. Right, so I won't go over these cards again. Well, I might bring the combat cards up, because we didn't really look at that. I didn't realise that they had that as well, which looks pretty cool as well. Right, well, not an awful lot happened there, but at least we got another little bit done, and that's a more sizable video as well, coming up for 50 minutes. I'm not awful sure when I'll get back for another little shot, but I certainly do want to. There is quite a lot more to think about than what I thought. Looking at the cards, there's that many different things, choices to make and whatever. Yeah, there's quite a bit in this game. I'm excited to delve into it a bit more. I just wish I had a bit more time these days, but it'll come. So sort of here and there. Right, I'll leave it for now, and I'll get back the next chance I get. Okay, cheers.